Wiregrass uses Blackboard for all of the classes, so all the information you need to do the class work is online. And we use, in addition to Blackboard, we also use something called MyStatLab. Now, when you access the class in Blackboard, the first screen you'll see is this one here. This is the Start Here class info screen. It has the syllabus, the schedule, and a few pieces of information that are important. Make sure you read all of this information. It's very important to the class, especially the syllabus. This will have the grade breakdown as well as a few things that are important for the class, like extra information about classwork and things like that. Now, the schedule is what we're going to be following throughout the year. This is what I'm going to follow for doing like incomplete assignments, things like that. So this is what you should be looking at to know which assignments are due when. And if this side pane is not showing, you'll see this little gray, or it could be blue bar. Just click it and that'll open up the side pane. So now we can look at virtual classroom. This is only if for some reason we need to meet online. It shouldn't really happen, but if it does, the course room will probably be locked. This is not where you will go. I will schedule a session most likely, and there'll be some information down here for that. So that's what you can use for virtual classroom if we need to. Now, MyStatLab uses Statcrunch. It's a software that it's kind of like Excel, but it does more statistical type stuff. It's very, very useful for the kind of assignments that we're going to be working on in this semester. And understanding how to use it is going to be very important. Now, there's lots of information about it that you can find YouTube videos about it and everything. Statcrunch.com is created by Pearson. Pearson is the people that made MyStatLab. So use this to help guide you. Also, I recommend playing around with Statcrunch when you use it in your assignments. That's the next thing we should look at here is assignments. You click on this. This will take you directly to MyStatLab. That's the software that we use that's integrated into Blackboard. It's the software that we use for all of our assignments and things. And this is what you'll be taken to, this screen. Now, first and foremost, I recommend clicking this button and clicking all assignments. So this will show you both the homeworks and the quizzes throughout the whole year. Now, you will not see the final exam. I'm just showing you this here so that you can see it. This will show up at the very end of the semester when it's accessible. And you can see your time limit and attempts. Now, first and foremost, the thing you need to do is the class orientation and homework tutorial. That's because this is a prerequisite for all of the homeworks. You have to get 100% on that to take the homeworks. It's quite straightforward. It's just a orientation about saying you've read certain things and then how to use the player in MyStatLab. I'm going to show you the last problem here because I want to show you Statcrunch. Now, a lot of this stuff will make sense to you when you are doing it. What all these pieces of information are. I'll talk about this in just a second as well, but I wanted to show you Statcrunch real quick. So for this data set, we have a data set here with a table with just some numbers in it. It's asking us to add the numbers together to get to move on. If I click on this button here, this is copy to a table, you'll see open in Statcrunch. This should always be there. Don't open Excel or Clipboard, just open in Statcrunch. It should always be there, even on the tests and the final exam. So if you click on that, make sure you allow for pop-ups. And it'll open up this. This is Statcrunch here. There's a number of things here. Like I said, I recommend you play around with it. Very important things in here that we'll see, especially here on the stat kind of tab here. We'll be working with a lot of these things, as well as graphing a few things here, so that can be helpful. To calculate something, what you can do is you can go to, let's see, compute, and then expression. You can also do multiple expressions. From column might be what we want here. No, I'm going to do just compute expression. And what we're going to do is we're going to build it. We're going to be using the values in var1. The values in var1 are just the data table written as a single column. This is very useful in statistics because a lot of times the data that's written in a column like this doesn't need to be in a table. It just needs to be in a column. You'll see more of this as we continue on in the class. Okay, we're going to do var1, and what we're going to be doing here is actually we're going to be summing it. So we're going to be summing it, and you'll see there was a sum function, and inside the sum function we want to add in var1. And so it says sum of var1. If you hit OK, and then this is the expression we're plugging in. If you hit compute, what Statcrunch will do is it'll actually rename the next thing as sum var1, and then it'll plug in the value. So it says here, this is just the actual computation thing that we just did. You can edit it and all that stuff, but close out. What this says is that the sum of all these numbers is 55. That's a very simple way of doing expressions. Again, it was data, compute, and expression. You do multiple expressions at the same time, everything there. Another thing that'll be beneficial for you to know is going down to stat and summary stats. So we're looking at the first column, the var1 column. If we click columns here, then click var1, a lot of this stuff we will use in the class, especially mean. That's going to be very important. Standard deviation, very important. Median, range. This will all make sense as we go through the class. But sum is what we want here. If you click on sum, hit compute. You could store into a data table, or just hit compute, and it'll create a summary statistics of whatever you select. In this case, it says the sum of the column var1 is 55. So the same information, two different ways. There's going to be more important things as you go through the class. Make sure you try out these things, try to find the information. But there's also information in the textbook, and you can find it online. So keep that in mind as you're doing it. And in any case, 55 was the sum of these columns. Check the answer, and it is correct. Now, that was the last problem. If we go back out, we should see, yep, we got 100% there, and now the flags are gone in front of the homeworks. So that means I can do all the homeworks now. The section quizzes, or sorry, the chapter quizzes are still locked. I need 70% on all the relevant homeworks. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 3 for chapter 1. If I go into homework 1, and this is what you'll see for all the questions in the homework. Click on question 1. Now this is a multiple choice question. This stuff is really from the textbook. So having the textbook here is going to be helpful. It takes you directly to this section. The video will be videos that I believe Pearson, the people who made this, have compiled together. It could also be from I think it actually might be from the author of the textbook. So those should also be helpful. And then you can also click Statcrunch to use Statcrunch if you need. Of course, this problem, you don't need that. Ask My Instructor will send me an email of this exact problem, and you can type in some information there, and I can respond to you via email. It goes to your student email, not back to here. So keep that in mind. Very important to use. I can respond to that very quickly using email. On the top here, you can have some accessibility and on-screen keyboard. Just play around with that to see what it is. But as you do these problems, you can navigate it at the top here, and at the bottom you see for this problem, I can show you this. Help me solve this. If this shows up, that means that it will actually help you solve this exact problem. Now, view an example will solve a problem very similar, but it won't solve this problem, so it won't change it. If you click on Help Me Solve This, it has the exact numbers in it, 5,800 and 5,400, or 54,000. And if you hit Continue, it'll actually show you parts that you can follow along to solve it. If you hit close, look at the numbers here, 5,800, or yeah, 854,000. Oh, actually, it didn't change the numbers. It changed these answers. For most problems, it'll change the numbers slightly, and so the problem will be different. The answer will be different, and that means that you can. It helped you solve that one example, but it doesn't give you the score for it. You want to get 1 out of 1 here, so before you can continue. If you try to help me solve this, it'll give you a new problem that you can then try after solving that. View an example is what I recommend you go for first. The numbers are all different, but it's very similar to solving this problem. Only in the last case example do you try to help me solve this. Again, you can still ask my instructor, video, textbook, Statcrunch. It's all there for help. So use that information to help you move on. Now, let me go back to the beginning here. So when we're answering the questions, just trying to find one that's incorrect. I'm pretty sure this is incorrect. If I hit check answer, it'll say that's incorrect. Okay, and it'll tell you a little bit of like tips. And then for multiple choice, it pretty much gives you 2 chances. For true false, it'll only give you 1 chance. For most problems that you have to do a fair amount of work for, that you're trying to get a number or something like that, it'll give you like 3 chances typically. And once you have the chance, it'll say final check. Click on that again. It'll say that's incorrect. Of course, we knew it was incorrect. And it says statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, summarizing, and analyzing information to draw conclusions. Now, what I can do is I can move on, or I can try again. And try again, in this case, it gives you the exact same problem because it's multiple choice. Like, this is really just straight from the textbook. But for problems that you work on that you see later on, it'll give you different numbers, but the same type of problem. And you can retry to get this 1 out of 1. So we just saw that this is the one that it should be. Hit check answer. It says it's correct. If I look up here, it says I got 1 out of 1. I can try it again if I want to retry it. Of course, there's no reason to do this one, but for other problems, you can try again. And if you do that, what'll happen is the score stays the same. If you choose something incorrect, like this, check answer, it'll say incorrect. If we move on, make sure you click Save Best Score. What this will do is it'll always save the highest score that you've earned for the question, not the current score. So always make sure you click Save Best Score. That way, if you ever complete a problem, it will always be counted as correct in the answers. So it'll be useful for you that way. Okay, so that is the assignments. Let's move on back to here. If you're on this, just hit the back button a few times. It should take you back to the Blackboard. So that was assignments. The e-text is literally the whole textbook in one go. I recommend going through the e-text through the assignments because that takes you directly to the section that you're working on. This is the whole book. My Grades is the grade book through MyStatLab, and it is immediately updated whenever you finish anything, whenever you do anything. The only caveat to that is that assignments that are not completed will not be shown up in your grade. So for instance, the final exam is never going to be a part of your grade until it's graded at the very end of the semester. So keep that in mind. If you're to get a 0, for instance, on the final exam, it would immediately drop your overall score by 20 percentage points because it's worth 20% of your grade. So it'll drop your score by the proportion that the 20% is worth in your grade. So keep that in mind when you're looking at it. If you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, then it's a pretty good estimate of what your grade is. It is always immediate though, so You should really get to 100% because you can keep redoing stuff. Get to that 100% and you're good to go. Now, tutor.com has already been paid for. It's just there for your benefit. You just click on that, sign up for whatever, and then you can use that for extra support. MyStatLab, this is really a lot of this stuff again. It's not really useful. We're not going to be using it. I need it there to access all this information, so you can play around with it, of course. But for all the class, I recommend playing around with Blackboard, seeing making sure you understand all the different parts. Definitely read the syllabus and then get done that first assignment, that class orientation and homework tutorial.